Let's talk about managing the Kalash, whether it's 7.62 or 5.45. This is a combat weapon system, and I need to be able to understand how it recoils and how to use it. Specifically, it's a battlefield pickup for you military or contractor guys out there. Basically, what you're going to see in typical Russian manual of arms, or Soviet or other countries that use these, is a very basic traditional stance. And this is pretty much it. I have a high stock in the shoulder. I've got a good cheek weld on the sight for that sight picture here, specifically on these lower sloping stocks on an AK-47, and then I have basically the underhand grasp on the forearm. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to engage. I'm going to put some weight into it, just like I would normally be taught to do it. I'm going to fire about 10 rounds in this 8-inch circle here at about 10 yards. Okay, so when I fire those rounds, watch what happens in recoil. Now I'm going to try to fire them as fast as I can. Okay, you can see how I'm bouncing back. I'm really blowing back. I even got one really low shot there just because of a overcompensation. But typically when people use this stance, they'll be all over the place. Now this translates way out at distance. Okay, this small cone of deviation I have right here is an 8-inch, 10-inch group. Now obviously I can shoot much tighter than that, but not with this stance. I'm really trying to keep that recoil to a minimum. So I've got to become that rigid recoil abutment for this bullet to cycle against. Okay, so I got to put my body behind the gun. So that's what we're going to do now. So I'm going to go from that traditional stance, and now where I'm a little bit bladed because of what the stock and the gun makes me do, I'm going to actually turn my chest towards the threat, or towards the target in this case. So all I'm going to do is turn my body. Now I am straight in line with the target. But look where the muzzle is. I'm over here now because I'm back in that natural position. So do we force the gun over? Well, this feels a little bit uncomfortable. Okay, so when I come over here, being uncomfortable, let's just take the gun out of our shoulder for a second. Move our shoulders over here, place it back in. So I'm placing. Notice where my elbow is. It's not down here anymore because we have a path of least resistance here. This elbow bends. So let's get rid of that path with the 7.62 gun. Let's rotate our hands up a little bit higher, a little bit more forward on the gun. And that's why you always see me wear at least a glove when I'm running an AK, because it will get hot, specifically if you're putting a lot of rounds through it. So I want to roll the gun, roll my thumb. Okay, if your sights are in the way of your thumb here, or if your thumb's in the way of your sights here, well then you can modify it a little bit. If you're running other types of optics that are higher up and you can get away with that higher thumb grip, then it's just value added because you're controlling the machine more. Okay, we don't want to control just this little bit of wood. We want to try to control it all. So again, that's what I'm doing. Notice also, when I roll my thumb upwards, watch what happens to this elbow. It moves it up. So it gives me more mechanical leverage on the gun. You can see I have the set tension in my forearms. I have a set tension in my elbows, and then of course all the way around the gun. Now this shoulder's still not back where that recoil is going off of my shoulder. I am behind the gun. My body's taking the recoil. Okay, so if I was even to fire like this, it would stay put. I'm just now putting a hand in here for added support. Fire control hand is the last point of contact on this side. Same set tension over here. We're torquing these wrists. Torquing the wrists like we're shooting a pistol with the control hand or the support hand. That torque helps manage the recoil. Just like if you're golfing, you've got to torque the shaft on the golf club in order to get a proper alignment when it hits the ball. If you don't, and it's kind of a loose grip or it's a bent grip, you're not going to hit the ball. So that's what we got to do here. We've got to hit that ball. We've got to torque that gun down just like a handgun. Now I have control. Now let's talk about the rest of the body, moving down into the core. So what you're looking for in core pressure, or how much you should tense up, is about 15%. So if you're to tense all the way and then relax to about 15%, that's what I will typically shoot at under duress situations. And I train to that through scenario-based training, or when I go out to the range like this, I will be cognizant of how much tension I have on and especially in competition. I'll be cognizant as I'm moving and shooting now. So same thing. Where are our legs? Well, we know that our legs do lots of different things. They move, they bend down, they squat, they kneel. You may be laying in an urban prone position or something where you're on your side. In that case, where's shooting come from? It comes from the upper body. So we've got to have our upper body solid around this gun no matter what position I'm in. Whether I'm leaned out, my legs are now doing something else. Whether I'm squatted down, my legs are doing something else. Okay? So lots of different positions will dictate nothing with your upper body. It all stays the same because, again, they're doing something else. But if you could get in that perfect position, what I'm looking for is shifting the weight in the balls of the feet and a slight bend in the knees. I'm trying to create that shock absorber like on a tank, in a tank barrel. Okay, when the tank is rolling and the tracks are doing this, the barrel's not doing anything. Okay, I've got a perfect absorption. I'm not too rough where both of them are moving, and I'm not really relaxed where the barrel's just banging into the tank when he's doing 40 miles per hour. So I'm trying to replicate that here. That's the perfect world stance. But obviously we know that in combat situations it's never a perfect world. So that's why I really want to concentrate on this upper body and manage the recoil of this gun. So now let me run this gun as fast as I can with this stance. Okay? So now you can see how much more that's managed. The gun comes right back down to where I want it. My body's set. I've got the tension. I'm calling the shot easier. Where if I've got a relaxed traditional stance, I can't call those shots. I can't call them and correct them fast enough because the gun's not settling fast enough. So I need the gun to settle so I can have faster follow-up shots. That's why we use a modern combat style fighting stance with the Kalašnikov series of weapons.